Hello and welcome to this Affinity Photo tutorial, and it is looking at making your own sort of light leak or sunlight burst for your images. Now I know you can download plenty of free overlays, or you can even buy overlays that will give you this. This is just a look at sort of how you can make your own if you want to. So you've got a sort of a light leak effect like I have up here in this corner here, this sort of red circle here, which is that layer, or you could just add a bit of sunlight coming from a certain direction, which is this layer here, and this was the original picture which I got from Pixabay. So let's just look at getting these two different effects, and just to see, you can make your own and use them time and time again. So let me just delete these two layers, and we will start a new project, and I'm going to make it 2000 by 2000 pixels. You can make it sort of pretty much however much size you want, but that's the size I'm going to go with, so I'll just click OK. Now to this we're going to add a gradient. Now you could just make a layer and add a gradient to it, but I found that in Affinity Photo you can't sort of come back and edit the gradient doing it that way. But if you use a shape like the rectangle and make it the size of your document, and then come up to the gradient tool, and I'm going to hold down shift and just draw a line across from left to right. And then I'm going to click in this sort of color box up here, which is representation of the gradient, to open up the editor for the gradient. And the largest node that is highlighted is the color that is selected, so this is currently on the left hand side, so I'm going to click into that box there, and I'm going to go with hex sliders, but you can use whichever color sort of selector you prefer, and I'm going to go for a sort of a dirty yellow color, which we'll try that one, which is CE9300, and then click on the node at the other end. Again, come back to the color selector, and I'm going to pick black, which is 000000. So there we have a gradient. Now to prove my point about you can come back and edit it, if I sort of come off that tool you lose the editing line, but if you come back onto the gradient tool it will come back. So that happens with shapes, not so much with layers. So now I have that first gradient set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this layer and duplicate it, or you can do Control and J. Now what I want to do now is to rotate this current layer by 90 degrees. So I'm going to come up to Arrange, Rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So it's now going downwards rather than across. And now I'm going to change its blend mode to darken. Let me just come off that tool so I don't have that line going across. So we now have this sort of brighter in one corner and coming across to darker in the other corner, which is the sunburst effect that we're after. So I'm just going to right click on this and do merge visible. So we now have those two layers combined into one layer. Now you could save this now with its own name and use it again and again in the future, but I'm just going to quickly copy this. So I right click and copy, come back to my picture of the girl here, and then edit and paste. Now what I've got to do now is change the blend mode from normal to screen. The screen will lose all the black areas, so all you're getting is that sort of sunburst effect. Now I want it to be on the other side, so I'm just going to arrange and flip horizontally, and I can change the opacity to have as much or as little of that as I want. I can come to the move tool and I could make it bigger or a bit smaller, move it around and have an effect where I want it and how I want it. So I'll leave that like that. So I'm going to come back to these layers here where I've got my starburst, or sunburst I should say, and then we're going to try and make the sort of light leak effect. So I'm going to keep these 3 layers as they are, and I'm going to add another shape, and as we're on, the swatch should already still be on the gradient, and it should still be up here in the fill color thing, representation, and I'm going to draw out another square and fit this onto this layer here, and then I'm just going to change the blend mode. Now you can pick whichever blend mode you like. Multiply gives you that sort of orange, more darker orange color, but I quite like this color burn, which gives me this red corner up here. So like before, I'm just going to right click, merge visible, and then you can save that layer effect and use it again and again, but for this project I'm just going to copy it and then edit and paste it in, and then change the blend mode again to screen to get rid of all the black areas, and that will give me that light leak effect. And like before, you can resize it to get what, the effect that you might want. You can lower its opacity, so I'll just downplay the effect. Let's try it on about 84% like that. And that's basically it. You've got a sort of a sunburst effect and a light leak effect, which you can save individually and use time and time again, as long as you remember to change the blend mode to screen to get rid of the black areas. So basically that's the end of this tutorial. Hopefully it will help you learn something about how to use Affinity Photo. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.